Give me a moment to get the word out, y'all, on here and on Spoutable. I'm gonna spout off and we're gonna post. And like I said, we'll get this started whether the chat fills up or not. This is going to be a quickie because unfortunately for me, life happens. Kiddo needed time to finish a school project, and I am definitely running behind this Valentine's Day. It's been a rough few days anyway, so let me adjust this mic here. As you know, some of you who have followed me on Spoutable since I tried to stay off that other site, I had a tumble yesterday. I don't know if you can see the bruising clearly or not. It's not really that important. On top of my hip and a few other things that hurt for a bit, I had to be in bed all day yesterday, and it was not a fun experience. I am a lot better health than I was even 2 years ago, but I am not where I should be. And I am a very top heavy woman. So having a fall, especially on a hard bathroom floor, was not fun for me. And I really wanted to not only be able to heal up because today's Valentine's Day and I've got a lot to do for the weekend because kiddo's 18th birthday is coming up. But I just don't want to be bedridden. It's one of my deepest fears. That's why I started weightlifting again and exercising again. And having a tumble like that was just a brutal reminder that I've got to keep on and keep myself together. But to get past that, because like I said, don't have much time for this one today, I'm going to talk about the obvious news story of the MSU shootings. What we know so far is that 43-year-old Anthony McRae is the alleged shooter. We also know that he allegedly took his own life after killing three, wounding five so far. There's been several reports out that there were several students injured, several that are in the hospital, and it's just indicative of why we need actual gun reform. I know people let me like, Tim, you liberals are anti-gun ownership, and welcome to the chat, respect. And I grew up with guns. I was actually trained with guns. I have military family that really did believe that this country would devolve into a new civil war. So it was nothing for my family to train you once you were old enough to hold a weapon, how to use a weapon. I believe in responsible gun ownership. But I also believe that there are far too many people who should not have their hands on guns that have ease of access to them, and that has to stop. There's a lot of instability with ease of access to guns in our country, and we really need to address this. And the fact that the man that did this latest school shooting, because it was a school shooting here in Michigan that just had a school shooting last year around Christmas, in Oxford at a high school, that I hope that maybe now some lawmakers will take it seriously. It's sad to say that it needs to have to be a black gunman for anybody to fucking open their eyes. But maybe, just maybe, this will start to wake people up to the fact that this isn't going anywhere. And that we can't just keep acting like this isn't a dangerous situation that keeps putting our kids, no matter what age they are, in the danger. And beans, I'm late too. Kiddo was doing a project I just got on a few minutes ago. It's going to be a shorty this time, but hopefully I can get what I wanted to talk about in. What troubles me about the MSU shooting is it should supplies nobody. There's been a boon in my state. We have gotten a surplus in making chips and pot sales. The state is doing good revenue wise, but we are still not allocating that money towards proper mental health, proper education, proper job and housing placement. And there are a lot of really unstable people who can get a gun quicker than they can get therapy, who can get a gun quicker than they can get taken care of by a hospital. And when you're constantly hearing negative stuff about Oh, the haves and the have-nots and other populist bullshit. And I'm going to get to a heavy rant about that in about a second from now. When you have that toxic cocktail, but you have no way of truly addressing it, and then you give people ease of access to weapons, stuff like this is going to keep happening. That is why we need legislators to finally step up and do their job and start to relegate and mitigate the access to these weapons. It's not going to be 100%. I'm realistic about it. I realize that even if we make the rules, there are always going to be those who don't feel like they need to follow it. But if we make it harder for them, make it more expensive for them, make an actual registry, you can make a registry to ban people. You make no fly lists, so I know you're capable of registering people. Anybody who seems like a terrorist or an activist that causes too much trouble, you put our names on the list. All of you people who are so proud to pose with your AK-47s for Christmas photos, all of a sudden get mums when you actually have to register yourself. And I used to be anti-registration. I used to think that that was the worst thing you could do. But I honestly feel that if you don't have anything to hide, if you're not doing anything wrong, you will have no problem as a legitimate registered gun owner to do so. And then we really do need to address the fact that assault weapons, which they still have not figured out if that was even an issue with that, because the few stills that they have of Anthony McRae are him in a baseball cap, mask, and with a pistol. It's still a gun violence issue, but the main culprit of a lot of these mass shootings are assault rifles. And you all know how I feel right now about the fact that civilians should not have access to those weapons. It shouldn't even be an argument anymore. If you are not military personnel, if you are not even tactical police force, and I'm saying tactical police, not every police member needs to have access to that either. If you do not have the specialized training to own said weapon, you should not have access to that weapon. I will not budge on that anymore. Because we have buried way too many people who were just sending their kids to school, who were just going shopping, who were going to concerts, who were just trying to live their lives in the so-called land of opportunity and are met with violence yet again. And I am tired of seeing articles like this. No idea why the gunman killed 3 students. And nobody's really going to try to find out why, because this shit continues to sell. This shit continues to click. These articles continue to generate. We have to be the ones to stop this in its tracks. And it comes with voting. And I know people, oh, how's voting going to stop this? You elect legislators who actually give a fuck about this, who want to pass the laws needed to make it tougher, like we did back in 94. People want to act like we can't pass certain gun laws, but we did after Columbine. We made it tougher to own certain weapons. And it might have been 96. I'm not sure. It was a while ago. It was a blur and it was a nightmare for people. All I know is that our Senate and our House came together after a school massacre on that level and said enough's enough. And then George Bush got into power and said, nah, the NRA are my buddies. This is a bit too restrictive. Let me roll this back. What could happen? Virginia Tech happened soon after that. And it just keeps escalating. And I thought for sure, after Newton, after Aurora, after an actual politician got shot at her own rally, after Maori Douglas, after what happened in Las Vegas, so many times we could have prevented these things from happening. And just this year alone, what happened in Monterey Bay, what happened last year in Tops, what happened in Uvalde, how many more are these shootings? How many more tiny coffins? How many more pictures of students embracing themselves because their school was under attack like we are here in Oxford and now here at MSU? It's tiring to see this. I'm tired of speaking about it because it's become such an American norm And I want it to stop being 0 days without gun violence. This isn't sustainable. And it's Valentine's Day. You would think that on a day that was supposed to be celebrating love and togetherness, and for me, the day before half price off chocolates, because that's all Valentine's Day has ever been for me. I'm looking forward to the discount chocolates. That we would be talking about ways of coming together. And instead, I have got to yet again talk about another school shooting in my state. And this is on top of what's went on in Ohio, which the news isn't talking up at all. We have an epidemic of violence that we have got to stop ignoring. It is no longer the elephant in the room. It is literally the armed monster, the armed demon that we keep acting it like it's not going to affect us, but it already has. Part of the big time agoraphobic leans that I had wasn't just the racism, wasn't just the fact that COVID looms. It's the fact that we don't know who's out there in an open carry state looking for a reason. And too many states have allowed that open carry fallacy. And we are right next door to Ohio here in Michigan, which seems to want to be the next OK Corral. And it is not sustainable. So we need legislators who need to start taking this seriously. And I hate that this has to be my opening, but it needs to be addressed. We have so many good groups out there that have been fighting the good fight, and we need legislators, and that is on us. We have to start voting like our lives depend on it, because they do. This isn't fear mongering. This isn't hyperbole. You're not willing to put up your guns. You're not willing to confront your family, who are literal ammosexuals at this point, that love and have a gun fetish. So the only way for us to effectively fight this constant plague of gun violence is to make sure that we have legislators who want to pass laws, making it harder to arm up and arsenalize. Some of you's out there living this life like you're the Punisher. And you're just a weak-willed individual who needs a gun to make yourself feel bigger at this point. And it's tiring. And I say this as somebody who not only was trained, but my family owns guns. My partner is a registered gun owner. Well, not really registered. I don't know how they do it here in this state. I know he's a legal gun owner with a gun safe that keeps his stuff safe away from his partner who has mental health issues. All I know is that there is balance, but people have to want it. And unfortunately, there is a demographic who doesn't want to be told what to do, the toddlers of our country, that are causing issues for us. And we have got to stop allowing them to dictate the narrative. And I hate the rapid fire, but like I said, I'm kind of on a time crunch here. So I want to make sure that I do this right. Let me get this picture up of Pete Buttigieg. And then this freaking nonsense here. Because, like I said, I stay off Twitter now. I made it known that while I will not get rid of my account, and I'm letting people know again, it's not because I want to sneak back on Twitter. I made that post, my last post, on the 8th. And outside the email updates that I get, I try very hard to stay off that site. It's like a detox for me. I will not post any new content, but I will not allow Twitter to use my handle in a way where they can generate revenue or sell it to somebody else. I refuse. So I've locked down my account, and I am going to keep it moving. But with that said, I still get the email stuff. So when I seen a lot of my friends reacting to the same person, I was like, oh, somebody decided to be the main villain. Let me check it out. And of course, my friend Chris, who I adore, confronted this heifer, who is a progressive. And like I told people, progressive come in all kinds of different backgrounds. Unfortunately, you get a few black ones who think the grass is greener on this side. It's lucrative, like Cheese, and apparently Chandra Preston. Little Miss Blue Checkmark said, "We all know Buttigieg aspires to higher office, and he's shown us what side he's on. We are already stuck with Biden. We don't have to be stuck with gay Biden Jr." And outside the blatant homophobia that the far left seems to love to show with no regards and no shame at all, the fact of the matter is, I've been saying for years now, the far left ain't right. They're not progressive. The horseshoe theory is real, and these bigots are just as bad as the card carrying, red hat wearing MAGA. And it doesn't matter if they're my skin tone, if they are still progressive, as I like to call them, they are just as troublesome to me as anybody else. She seems to have a problem with Joe Biden, but she have a problem with Magic Vermont and Grandpa. And I'm like, what's your problem with Joe Biden? You mean a man who came in from nothing, literally had nothing to work with from 4 years of the fallout of 45, and yet has kept our economy steady, continues to do a good job as president, did a vaccine rollout, has kept things on a steady path despite the constant chaos licking at his heels. But you don't want that. And then to attack Pete Buttigieg's orientation, I'm not even going to call it a low blow. I'm going to call it the way the far left and the MAGAs behave. Because they can't attack him on his ability to get his job done. So they got to insult who he is. Because to Chandra and assholes who think like her, being LGBTQ is still a bad thing. And they make their bigotry known. And her thread, I wasn't going to go through the whole thing because I was already disgusted by this enough. But she just kept doubling down. And when you press people like that on, okay, you hate Biden, you hate Buttigieg because he whipped Bernie's ass in the primaries in Iowa. What is it about one old white man that you stand versus another or a younger one who is working up through the ranks the right way? You don't care about actual progress. You're not fooling anybody with this. And the bigotry is so blatant at this point that it has become a full-time job calling this and other supposed black academics out. These wannabe high society fuckers who will code switch and act like they care as long as they can sloganize our issues, as long as they can also then turn around and call our issues identity politics. People like Chandra bother me because she utilizes her platform to spew the same toxic hate and then act like she's being benign. Well, all these people jumping on me because I mentioned his sexual orientation. If you want to call Pete Buttigieg Biden Jr. because you think his policies are too on board with this current president, which you knew people would pick apart anyway because President Biden is doing the thing. But if you want to make it about the fact that he's gay and don't realize how offensive that is, and then try to downplay your bigotedness, nah, I can't ascribe to that at all. It's disgusting the way these brats act, but it's not surprising to me. They are no different than the MAGAs, who had a field day, y'all. Now I was going to find that picture I had downloaded of Rhianna, who is a fucking amazing at the Super Bowl. The only part of the Super Bowl I watched was the halftime show. Then I rewatched the YouTube upload on the NFL because it was just that magical. The fact that she danced while showing off that baby bump because she's pregnant with her second child, y'all, and I am happy for her and ASP Rocky. I'm happy that her life is going the way she deserves it. I am totally a Riri fan, so that Super Bowl halftime show was fire for me. She did all of her best songs. She was singing, she was dancing, and she was full on black, pregnant, and beautiful. And of course, like clockwork, the Red Hat Coma gang, as I seen aptly put in a comment on a Daily Kos article, and I wanted to link all that. If I had had more of time, I definitely would have, and I will definitely still give credit to Rebekah, who wrote an amazing article, because Green, Barber, and a bunch of others wanted to accuse the NFL of wokeness, because wokeness is their enemy, y'all. Anything that is inclusive, anything that's diversive, ignore the fact that the NFL makes billions off of black bodies who win them championships. But if Cheryl Lee Ralph sings Lift Every Voices Sing, it's a bridge too far. Ignore that they had some white country star singing the national anthem before her. So it really was diversity and inclusivity. But oh no, Cheryl Lee Ralph did the thing, and it dwarfed that. So of course the Muppet Twins of Bobbert and Green decided to bitch about it, and bitch about the wokeness of the halftime show, which the halftime show was the only thing I cared about. I haven't been a huge football fan in years. I grew up in a football family, so I grew up with the Giants for the longest time. I had jerseys, mugs, and everything else. But you get bored with it. It's just not my thing. I don't knock people who are into football. I can see the strategic and the technical reasons why some people like it. I can even see the rivalry reasons why some people like it. It just isn't as interesting to me as soccer is, so I don't stand it as much. But I always like a good halftime show, and Rhianna gave that. And to see the bigoted pushback doesn't surprise me, but it just really, exactly, respect. It really makes me laugh to see how many angry bigots, and then to see that comment about them being the Coma squad. Because that's what you have to be at this point. If you are anti woke, you are pro Coma. You don't want to use your brain. You don't want to move on into a world that actually gets stuff done. You want us regressive, because if you're fearful of any kind of real progress, you're fearful of any kind of equality. And that is a you problem at this point. If you are at the point of your life where you're anti woke, you're telling the world that I have to keep my eyes shut, because anything that is daring to be progress scares me. And I don't know what to say to you at this point. If you were a toddler, I'd pat you on the head and tell you life is going to be okay. But if you're a grown person, all I can do is side eye and not even pity you at this point, because it's disgusting. You are holding this world back with your ridiculousness. A world that should be fully tech driven, exploring space, and moving towards a future that is better than what we currently have. But instead, we're watching little men like Napoleon in Russia try to wage wars to annex all his supposed country properties. We're watching idiots destroy social media with their egos. We are watching the bleats and throes of white male power in its legitimate death throes, guided by enablers, normally white women who think their adjacency to that power means something, even though you're disrespected, even though your rights to be are up in the air, if not completely questionable, even if they want to marry you when you're not old enough to truly consent to such things. And if we continue to keep letting you shift the narrative, we will continue to be further away from that utopia that we all deserve at this point. It is tiring seeing where we should be, where we could have been, and where we could potentially go, being held back by angry, bigoted dummies who get mad at Super Bowl halftime show and supposed wokeness. But don't get mad at the fact that you have the ability to be better people and you just don't want to be. Because power for you is having a lot of money while people don't have. Because society has taught you that you need to be a winner and there has to be losers for you to be happy. And you don't understand how that has created so many chasms in our society, and it's not sustainable. And exactly, they want to keep us back, so far back that they might as well be cave dwellers at this point. That's why I call them the regressive Republicans. And for people to try to slip in and be slick about how both parties are the same, I will stop you right there anytime I see that shit. I don't care who you think you are. Don't bring that mess in my timeline, especially on Spoutable. Because that whole adage that the elephant and the donkey are in the same house has been going around Spoutable, and that's why I called that shit out. Don't retweet that shit. Don't respout that shit in my timeline either. Because it's really slick ways of people getting in those little apathetic digs on how both sides are the same. No, they're not. And it's time that we stop playing those games because we have major elections coming up. And we cannot afford the people who are still playing the both sides of the same game. Politics are already touch and go because people think it doesn't matter. And we have watched that it doesn't matter attitude run Florida into the ground, run Ohio into the ground, run Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky, and other states into the ground. Where if you're a black body, you might as well be in a body bag. Where if you're a woman, your rights to choose are definitely questionable, if not negligible at this point. If you're a child and you're a victim of rape, you're being forced to carry your rapist's baby. And they're literally trying to pass laws, if they're GOP lawmakers, to penalize any state that gives health care to a rape victim that's a minor. That is the sickness that you want to be apathetic about. It is on us, the American voter at 18 and up. At this point, if you are not taking your civic duty seriously, you might as well give in to these bigots. Because that is what you are doing at this point. And it is imperative, even if you think woke is bad, because that was the tangent that I was going to open up with. The fact that the bigots have attacked wokeness and that some of you actually get self-conscious and fearful that you might be deemed too woke. It is okay to be conscious of prejudice and bigoted. And yes, we will always have some people that take it too far. I seen that young lady's weird list about saying certain phrases. How instead of saying kill two birds with one stone and other nonsense, and I get it. As a Gen Xer, I don't particularly ascribe or believe in any of that stuff because words depend on intent. Everything to me has always been about intent. And if somebody is just saying, nah, I killed two birds with one stone, it's not that they're going out and literally killing two birds. It is just an idiom. And if we are going to be the type of people that have to latch on to idioms to show that you're out there and better than people, I can't sit with you and you can't sit with me. There are way too many things that you could be focusing your energy on and attention on. And I get it that violent speak, for some reason, people think engages violence. I don't ascribe to that. I grew up around violent video games. I am a literal diagnosed sociopath, schizophrenic, with manic bipolar disorder. I have yet to be any of the things that Hollywood portrays. And I know I'm probably one of the few and far between. I don't know about that because millions of us live with this. But I feel like people are way too easily swayed by the scapegoating of stuff. And it is people's intent. And I feel like if you feel that being labeled woke or being associated with woke is too much for you, that's a you problem. The problem with people trying to say that being woke means you attack anything is no. It means you see when somebody like Chandra is being an open bigot and you call out that bigotry because she shouldn't feel comfortable attacking somebody's sexual orientation. When you see somebody using a racial slur, even if it seems like a benign racial slur, you can call that out as well because acceptable forms of bigotry needs to stop being the norm. When you see somebody being violent against women, violent against children, or just violent in general because they are not getting the mental health help they have, it is okay to have your eyes open to the problem because that is the only way we are able to solve said problems. But there are a lot of people out there investing in us not being able to solve those problems because for them, This chaos is still profitable. This chaos is still lucrative. This chaos sustains only them, and that is their power. And we need to show them that that power is elusive, that power is illusionary, and that it is holding all of us back from actual better. It really is on us to have no acceptable forms of bigotry, but there is times where it is okay to just mind your business. I think finding that balance is harder for a certain demographic, if I can be 100%, because they have seen a life of privilege. They have watched how society has coddled them, and they don't know what to do all the time. And I fully understand that on a psychological level, that it can be hard trying to prove yourself, prove that you're not like the rest of your peers, that you're not like the rest of your demographic. And I want you to get to that sweet spot of understanding the issue, knowing when to assert yourself, when to mind your business and keep it moving, because that is the only way you are going to be an effective ally at this point. If you're out there trying to pick every fight, every battle, not only are you going to burn yourself out, but you're going to look ridiculous, and nobody is going to take what you're trying to bring to the conversation seriously. Mitigate how you insert yourself into things, because you cannot be an ally if you're fighting every battle. Half the time, you're not even understanding what you're fighting. But if somebody says that seems hateful, makes you uncomfortable, that is a good thing. You should feel a level of discomfort when somebody is being disgusting towards other human beings because they don't know them. And they should not feel comfortable around you saying that kind of stuff. Exactly. It's one of the reasons I have adored Spoutable so far. Outside those little slick ways they're trying to infiltrate with their nonsense. And it's not even effective because most people didn't even realize what that saying meant until I called it out. But trust me, they're trying. They're going to try to find the language that they can slip through CB's stuff and still try to spread their rhetoric. It's not going to be effective because a lot of people who are currently on Spoutable are registered voters, very informed people, and aren't going to fall for the okey doke of apathy. You might get a few, those who are really trying to seek that follow number still, but there are plenty of us who are just there to reconnect with our friends that we made on the other app, and we just want to have social media again. And I am grateful to Christopher Boozy. I think he did a damn good job. I just got the email of all the updates and rollouts that they're going to be doing this month. He is working so hard. And I want to be able to donate to him. I know that they have a little $5 donation thing so far. If you can help his site, please do so. I don't say this lightly. And I know I scoffed at Musk is $8 a month bullshit, because I don't think he deserves $8 a month for a tank in Twitter. But when I see somebody working hard to give us a site where we can be inclusive, where we can have actual discussions, even if we don't agree on everything, where there isn't a main villain each day for once, we're sharing again, and it feels like a community that's coming together. Our pods are like our family. It is nice, and I want to protect that. So if you can help, please do. But I am definitely moving on from the main villains of the day, because as you can see from Chandra and people who act like her, that's all Twitter's ever going to be. This is who they're catering to now. This is who their site wants to have. People who want to attack people on their sexual orientation, on their skin color, over being too woke, they want to be that edgelord. We'll let them. We don't have to keep giving them audience and amplification. We don't have to give them our time. But what we do have to do is focus all that energy that we have been using to survive these last few years, that we have been using to protect our peace, because people just want to keep us angry, fearful, and fighting, to fight the good fight the best way we can, legislative wise, politician wise, so that we can move on to better. I know we can do it. It's one of the reasons why I keep doing these Bonnet Chronicles, despite hangups, despite everything going on, because I have reason to fight for it. My baby is going to be 18 on Saturday. Every time I think about that, I'm like, I did it. I actually helped my child survive this long. As a black parent, I shouldn't have to phrase it like that, but that is the reality of my situation. Keeping him alive was priority number one. And now I have the fear of, now my child's an adult. As much as I want to be in his life and keep him safe, I've also got to show him how to be more independent in a world that is going to view him as a black man, and it scares the shit out of me. And that is the reality of my situation, but I am ready. I have a good partner. We are going to do our damnedest to keep him safe no matter how old he gets. As long as there's breath in our body, we are a partnership. And I got lucky with that. And thank you so much, Beans and Respect. There is so much to look forward to, but I have got to do my part. And he is going to join me. He is ready. He's got his voter registration form all ready to be sent. So much on the horizon for both of us. And it's important for us to do our parts. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I know this was a short one, y'all. I am sorry about that. Sometimes life happens, but I definitely wanted to get this done. I am still in a little bit of pain. I'm going to get ready to take some aspirin, get Valentine's dinner on with my sweetie and kiddo, and just relax for the rest of the night. Got my heating pad all ready too. That tumble scared me, but I'm tougher than gravity. I'm gonna prove it. Get back to my weightlifting soon. Thank you all for sitting in. I hope you have a nice, relaxed Valentine's Day, a nice, relaxing holiday. I am definitely working on the second book. I am so excited. I'm excited about the first book being distributed ebook form right now through Palace Media Library app. And the audio book is being worked on, so I have fingers crossed gonna have that announcement soon. So many good things on the horizon. The web comic is going well. She keeps showing me panels. I cannot wait to launch that as well. I am just blessed, y'all, and I am lucky because my friends have had my back. My close family has had my back, and I just feel like we are on the path to good things, and I really hope that that is the same for you right now. But I am going to get ready to wrap this up. Thank you so much, Beans of Respect, for sitting in. I have this cast uploaded to YouTube later, and I will see you all on Friday night for a full hour of the Bonnet Chronicles.